Hi everyone, today I am going to do my take on the cold girl trend, makeup trend. And this is a trend that's been doing the rounds on social media, and it really is just one of those looks that is supposed to reflect, that feeling of being a sort of après-ski or being out in the elements, the wind, and walking and exercising and being in cold weather. So it's about having that flush of chilly pink across the cheeks and the nose, and really that frosty kind of vibe to your makeup. I found it interesting because I've got quite a long history with this look, which I will talk you through as I do my makeup. So I'm going to talk you through all the key points of this look and also try and slot it into history really and makeup history and where this kind of trend originated from. So the first thing is I have already done my base. So I've done a light layer of shade number 10 of my Seamless Skin foundation. So it's a bit less. Usually I wear 11, which is quite golden, but now it's dead of the winter here, so I'm going a little bit less golden on my face. And also for this trend, by the way, if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, it is still a really pretty makeup. So even if you're in the summer, it doesn't matter. It's fresh. It looks like you've been for a walk, and you can still wear it. So the first thing to do is say that the blush really is the most important element of the makeup. And for that, really, if you can use a cream, it does look really, really good. I'd say you can't use a cream, or it's not as easy to use a cream if you have a lot of natural redness in places maybe that you don't really want on your face, or if you have a lot of blemishes or generally things that you like to cover in this area, in which case it works just as well with a powder. And I will use a powder as well, just to show you how you can use that. What you can use to create this flushed look is something like, I'm going to get a few different things out. So something like a hot pour cream blush. So depending on obviously your skin tone, you'll want to really adapt the color to give yourself that very chilly pink. You know that look. You've been out all afternoon in really, really cold weather. You've been walking, hiking, whatever. You come indoors, there's a hot fire, and suddenly you have that really beautifully kind of flush look. So something with whatever gives your skin tone that particular shade. You could use something theatrical, which is like a Ben Nye palette, or a Cryolan, which I'm going to talk you through as well, because that's what I used to use back in the day. Any kind of cream blush or any kind of a liquid blush. I'm going to use a lipstick. I'm going to use my Velvet Beauty lipstick. I'm going to start with this because for me, it's kind of a good colour as a base for that kind of flush look, in that it's not too strong a pink, but it does have a blue undertone. So it's going to give me that flushed kind of fresh look to my makeup. So I'm going to start really just on the apples of the cheeks, and I'll build it up a little bit redder as well afterwards. So this will start off sort of quite pretty, and I think that's what I want to say firstly about this trend this time, that it's quite glam and pretty this time around. Now for me, I definitely used to do this makeup. It was my windburn look, and I used to do it so much in the mid to late 90s that it was almost like my signature look, because I loved doing it. It was definitely more of a raw take on it, a more kind of 90s editorial take on it. But I used to do it for when I worked with people like Peter Limbo, Paolo Roversi, anyone where I could get away with doing that look, to the point where people used to ask me to do that look. And sometimes I used to do it with fingers. I always used theatrical paint. So I used to go to, because you couldn't really buy cream blush like you can now, like all the different shades. So I would buy palettes like this from theatrical makeup shops, or hot poured sort of Cryolan TV makeup, film makeup. And I used to mix them all to create that real sort of image of the blood on the skin coming through. So I used to apply it with fingers or a sponge. And sometimes I used to apply it with a stippling sponge, which gave it almost like even more of a windburnt look. So it used to sort of almost mimic the way the natural veins in your cheeks would kind of pop out a little bit. So it was definitely a less pretty version, but that look that I did made it onto so many big magazine covers, really big shoots. So I'm forever grateful for that kind of windburnt, blushed look. And it is a particular favourite of mine, and I still like doing it. So I think seeing it this time around, it definitely looked way more prettified and way more glam when I saw it. So I kind of link it this time to a more recent trend, maybe from like 5 years ago. I actually did a really big piece of research quite recently. Just so you can see, I'm kind of building up the colour just to make it natural. I'll kind of add a little bit more redness in, but I'm building up that really nice flush of pink. And this is the best way to do it. Kind of work off the back of your hand, use a fluffy brush. You can always go back in as well. If you've got the odd spot, like I've got one there, I can always cover that later. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so the more recent iteration, I was doing a big piece of research. Last year, I worked on the look for Jenna, which is the girl that plays, beautiful actress that plays Wednesday in Tim Burton's Wednesday, the Netflix show. And we did a day with her way before they started shooting of thinking what that modern goth look would look like. And I was just trying out loads of different makeup looks, and Paul was trying out loads of hair styles and actually ended up with the braids and the fringe. And I ended up kind of with that more, I guess, traditional sort of goth makeup. But during my research, I went really deep into that kind of e-girl trend and how that had been so heavily inspired by Japanese anime, Japanese cartoons, all kinds of things. And I ended up with this whole board, which really had this kind of flush look. It was definitely a different take from the editorial version I used to do in the 90s. But I think it's that's kind of morphed into this cold girl look. So anyway, sorry if that was a boring history lesson, but I get excited to kind of trace these trends. So that's my first layer of pink. And what I'm going to do next, you could just leave it there. I mean, if you just want it super pretty. The next thing I'm going to do is add a little bit more of a reddish colour. So I'm actually just going to put a little bit of this deeper shade in. And this is more of, I guess, a true blood colour in terms of it's got that kind of true depth to it, unlike this, which is obviously a very pretty flush. And I think as well, what makes this look different from that flush that was out last summer, which was more of a sun-kissed look that was accompanied with the faux freckles, is that the colour that you choose for the cold girl look is so important. So you want really those cold colours. So if you're going to do pink, have it something with a blue undertone. If you're going to go with these really deep wine colours, again, have it with that Bordeaux-y, that blue, that quite chilly undertone. And that will make it look different from a sunburn or a regular kind of flush of bronze. So keep away from those warm colours and go for the more chilly flushed colours. So it is about that windburn. And also having it in this kind of position, it slightly mimics if you've been skiing and you've got your goggles on and then you do get that kind of windburny effect that's just in one area and then you have that around your eyes, it's just not there. So with this colour, I'm just going to go in and add a touch more, just using my fingers actually. So I get that slightly realistic take on it. And then I've gone on with the lighter pink on the end of my nose. With this deeper pink, I'm just going to keep it to sort of the top of the nose there. And then just keep blending. The next thing to do is using your brush, now it's got hardly any on, just blend it into any edges, because otherwise you'll have such a hard edge between the blush and where, for example, your concealer starts, that it will just look really fake. So just kind of soften any edges while you have such a limited amount on your brush. Next I'm going to go with a touch of concealer. I'm using the lipstick as well, my blush, because I want to kind of conceal it, but I don't want to lose that redness, that pink flush, by having a light, almost, well, it will be, it'll just look really fake, kind of light dot. So this is going to take a minute. Got to get the colour right. So it's just mixing that foundation with your blush. your flush. I think that's going to do it. Holding my breath. Yeah, and that's pretty much got it now. Next I'm going to use powder, because it's not really about having a really dewy skin. If you go out in the colds, as you know, you come in, you kind of have that flush look, and your face is very cold and it's not really shiny anymore. It has like a matte look to it. So and especially if you've been out in the wind, it definitely kind of dries out the skin and leaves you with that more matte skin. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit of powder. This will take down some of my colour, but that's okay, because I'm going to go in with my powder blush next anyway, to sort of seal it in. I'm going to leave some highlight up here, but I'm going to take off the rest of the face with a light layer. I might even do a touch more pinpoint concealing. I have already got a little bit of mascara on as well. So that's my light layer of powder. So now I'm going to go back in with powder blush. This is a very sort of, it looks almost whitish pink, but it's very cool toned. I think this would be a really good one just to set this look. You can just use powder if you want. As I say, if you feel like for you using cream blush just doesn't work, then just go straight in with powder. And again, just choose those colours really to match your skin tone. You want something that's got enough depth, enough richness to pop, because it needs to look, it is, I'm going to say unnatural. It needs to look naturally like you've been caught in the wind and rain, and snow, but at the same time, not too natural that it doesn't register. Put a little swipe of that on my eyelids. So onto eyes, and this time round, this trend, again, as I say, it's kind of pretty, it's glam. I'm going to put a tiny bit of highlighter just at the centre of my eyelids. And then I'm going to use a stronger highlighter just to bring out those white tones. And if you want to do this look and you think, well, I'm going to need more makeup on my eyes than that, then you can sculpt as well if you want to. I'm just going to use the highlighter and really pat that in. And I've seen versions of online that are just so glam. They're like basically just glam, glam, glam makeup. But I feel like it shouldn't be too glam, because it is about that natural flushed look. So I'm not going to go down that route. So the next thing I'm going to do is use a little bit more intense highlighter. This is actually one of my liquid Lurexes in Cressida. And I'm going to use this on my lower lash line. Just get a brush to blend it in. Sorry, the centre of my eyes, and then a little bit along my lower lash line here. I'm going to put a pop of that as well, just behind the lashes there. So you can see that's just starting to get that wintry frostiness to it. I'm also going to add a touch of the frosty shine just down the centre of my nose as well. Use fingers actually. So I'm just going to go back in with mascara. I had a little bit on, but we need to add some more now, especially when we've got this frosty white effect around the eyes. I definitely need some more mascara. I'm also going to put a little bit of brown pencil just through the roots of my lashes, because I'm not really going to wear any other makeup on my eyes. So I'm just going to give myself a bit more definition at the roots of the lashes there. There we go. Yes, nicer. So onto my lips. The first thing I'm going to do for my lips is just put on, this is a kind of almost a balm that's got some white in it. This all over my lips. This is giving it like a highlightery shine. obviously too metallic. And then I'm going to use the same lip colour that's on my cheeks. I'm going to do that so it's a really soft kind of flush. I'm not going to do any harsh lines, so I'm going to make the edges really blurry and slightly full, so it gives a nice shape. Might even add to that a touch of red. Got a little red lip oil here. There we go. I think I will just fill out that lower lip. Just for the sake of looking nice for me, because I will not be happy without that extra. Volume. This lip to me seems like a really Korean lip, a Korean lip that's been around forever, but it seems to be part of this look where it is slightly diffused. It's very soft. It often involves a lip oil or quite a nice gloss that's not too pigmented. I put this pinky gloss on. So it's kind of a bit Korean, a bit e-girl. Now for the lashes, what you could do, and it's something that I used to do a lot when I wanted lashes to look frosty, was I used to use a primer kind of after using mascara, and it would just give that almost as if little snowflakes have landed on your lashes. So I haven't seen anyone doing this as part of the trend, but if I was doing this kind of look for a magazine, then I would absolutely, sometimes as well, I would just leave mascara, not have any on, and just use a little bit of this. I mean, that's definitely a look, and it's not one that everyone would want to pull off, but it does give you that really kind of like little snowflakes landing, frosty snowflakes landing on your lashes. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just give my skin a little spritz. Just let that settle in. Give that frosty look to my face. I'm going to let that settle in, and then I'm going to just check everything is looking as I'd like it to look. Touch more pink there. Is that enough of everything? So I'm just going to go back in with some pressed powder. Now I think we are done. This really reminds me of this shoot that I did. I can't even remember when it was. I feel like it was in the early 2000s, and it was in Colorado. And it was this beautiful, beautiful shoot for Vogue. And we had the model, I did it all sort of wind burnt, didn't do the gloss, didn't do this kind of version of it, but I remember sort of doing like little fake, I had the special effects snowflakes, so I did like snow sort of through the lashes and a little bit through the hair and the brows, and it was so nice. I need to dig out all of those pictures. Okay, I'm finding this lip a bit too pink, so I'm going to add this, which is the Chocolate Cherry Cream Blush by Bobbi Brown. This is one that I really like using for this kind of a look. Just gonna go inside to take the pinkiness off that. Okay, so yes, I think that is the finished look. I'm gonna put on, of course, the ear muffs. Yeah, I can see that's me been jogging around in the snow. I think it's a really fun trend. I definitely enjoy like thinking about the origins of it, and the fact that I used to do a version of this look so much and really used to love. This is one of my favorite looks ever at the beginning of my career. To make this look a little more festive, I'm going to add some frosty glitter onto my cheeks, my nose, and into my eyebrows. So I hope you enjoyed that look, and I will see you very soon. Lots of love. Bye.